My name is Eileen. I grew up Catholic in Melbourne and thought I understood faith, truth, and God. Islam to me was a word from the news. Anger, oppression, far from home. I didn't know a single verse from the Qur'an. I didn't know a single Muslim personally. I was certain enough not to question, and that certainty felt like safety. Then I met a man who would become my husband. He was gentle in a quiet way, careful with his words, loyal to his promises. He honored his mother, lowered his gaze, and never made me feel small for not knowing what he knew. When he told me he was Muslim, I braced myself for difference. Instead, I found recognition. He believed in the God of Abraham. He revered Moses and Jesus. He valued charity, truthfulness, and prayer. It was like hearing a familiar melody played on an instrument I'd never noticed before. But there was one note that didn't fit the tune I grew up with. In Islam, Jesus is not God. He is a mighty messenger, born miraculously to Mary, the Messiah, the word given by God. But not God himself. When he said it, something moved in me that I'd kept quiet for years. I had always prayed to the God above the heavens and felt Jesus pointing me toward him, toward the one who sent him. I'd never said that out loud, even to myself. It felt disloyal to my church, to my family, to my younger self, who sang hymns without doubt. As my husband grew firmer in his practice, I ran back to mine. I joined the choir. I helped with parish committees. I wanted to love God with my whole heart. And I wanted my husband to see that my faith was alive. Then one Sunday, we read from the Gospel of John about one who would come with words people were not yet ready to hear. My priest taught that this spoke of the Holy Spirit. I had heard that all my life, but the passage sounded, to me, like a person. Sent, expected, spoken of. The Holy Spirit had always been present, even in Jesus' time. Why would Jesus speak of a coming presence as if it were someone awaited? A question formed, gentle but unyielding. What if Jesus really had foretold a messenger to come after him? The question wouldn't leave. I realized that on the day of judgment, I wouldn't stand with my parents, my priest, or my husband. It would just be me and God. I couldn't outsource my soul. So I asked for a Qur'an. My plan was brave on the surface and cowardly underneath. I would find the errors, settle my heart, maybe even bring my husband back to my church. If I could prove it wrong, I could keep my world intact. I opened the Qur'an with suspicion and a pen. What I found first was fear. Not a cruel fear, but the fear that comes when you realize your choices actually matter. The warnings about accountability were vivid. The doors to mercy were too. It didn't flatter me. It didn't try to win me with poetry alone. It spoke directly about God's oneness, about sincerity, about the end we will all meet. And then I found Mary, an entire chapter named after her. Her purity, her trial, her honor, carried like a light through the verses. I found Jesus described with reverence. Miraculous birth, signs, truth spoken from the cradle, a servant of God. None of this was the Islam I thought I knew. It wasn't hostile to what I loved, it clarified it. I kept reading. Where I had learned to live with grey areas, the Qur'an drew lines clearly. God is one, without partners, without division. Prophets came across time with the same message. Worship God alone, do good, prepare for the meeting with him. The lines didn't feel harsh. They felt like the edges of a map I had been trying to read in fog. Then I fell on verses that left me silent. The sky and clouds described with weight and order. The formation of the human being in stages. Something invisible in the 7th century, now visible through microscopes. How could an unlettered man in a desert speak with such confident accuracy about things the world would not verify until 1,000 years later? I didn't want to be the kind of person who forced a text to say what I wanted. So I checked commentaries. looked at language, read scholars. I didn't find a showman's trick. I found a pattern. Reminder after reminder to think, to reflect, to use reason, to follow evidence to God. Then I met Muhammad through his teachings. Again and again, he prohibited people from praising him the way some praised earlier prophets. Do not worship me, he taught. Worship God alone. He turned people away from himself and back to the one who sent him. This was not a call to a tribe, a culture, or a man. It was a call to surrender to God, exactly what my heart had always wanted but never named. I took my questions to my priest. He listened kindly. We spoke about Jesus' nature, about confession, about grace. I told him that in my heart Jesus had always led me to the Father, that I could not pray to Jesus as God anymore, not when every fiber in me now said he was pointing me higher, to the one who made us both. He said he was not happy, but he understood that this was my journey. It is the same God, he admitted. And there was mercy in that sentence I will never forget. My parents were harder. When I told them I wanted to wear hijab, fear flickered in their eyes. Would I become a stranger at our own table? Would I disappear into something they couldn't reach? I told them I was not leaving them, I was coming home to truth. The hijab, for me, wasn't disappearing. It was declaring who I belonged to. Over time, love softened the sharp edges of their worry. We learned each other again, slowly and with patience. In private, I negotiated with my pride. I had said harsh things about Islam without knowing a thing. I had clung to identity over inquiry. But truth isn't a mirror you hold up to others first. It's the one you hold up to yourself. I asked God simply, if this is from you, don't let me miss it. If it's not, protect me from it. And then, one ordinary day, the difference between fear and clarity became obvious. Fear made me grasp for excuses. Clarity made me surrender. I stood with my husband beside me, my hands trembling and my heart steady. The words came out of my mouth and rewrote my life. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammad an Rasul Allah. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. It felt less like stepping into something new and more like stepping fully into what I had always believed. That God is one, that he sends guidance, that he loves those who return to him. Peace didn't crash over me. It rose, like sunrise. Quiet, sure, undeniable. I did not abandon Jesus that day. I followed him to where he had always pointed, to the worship of God alone. I did not betray my parents. I honored them more because my faith now demanded truthfulness, mercy, and patience in ways I had never practiced so intentionally. I did not escape accountability. I embraced it. Now my days are braided with prayer. I ask forgiveness directly from the one who knows what is hidden and what is revealed. I try to keep my promises, guard my tongue, and give quietly. I fail often, but I know where to turn. When I open the Qur'an, I don't search for myself in its lines. I let it search me. It corrects me, comforts me, and keeps pulling me away from worshipping anything less than God. If you are where I was, curious but guarded, afraid but awake, ask your questions. Read without the need to win. Pray the simplest prayer, guide me to truth. Truth can handle your questions. It can survive your doubt and still bring you home. One day, you may find yourself whispering words you never expected, and realizing they do not erase who you were. They reveal who you were always meant to be.